Hello, sixth graders. So today's lesson is over stem and leaf plots and histograms. You'll need a pencil and a multiplication chart. Let's go over our objective now. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to create stem and leaf plots and histograms, describe the center, spread, and shape of the data distribution, find the mean, median, range, and mode of the data. So the new word that we're looking at is mode. We don't know what that means, but we should remember how to find the mean, median, range. Also, lastly, we talked about how to find the center, spread, and shape of the data distribution. We're going to review that really quickly. And I know that you all learned stem and leaf plots last year, so the new thing here would be histograms. Okay, so let's review what we learned last week. First thing is, what kind of plot is this? Okay, hopefully you said a dot plot. This is a dot plot. Is this dot plot symmetrical or asymmetrical? Well, what do those words mean? What does it mean to be symmetrical or asymmetrical? So remember, symmetrical means if we cut a line down the middle, that one side of it is a mirror image of the other side. So do you think this one is or isn't? Great, it isn't. Therefore, we would say that it is asymmetrical. All right, what about the peak? The peak of the mountain is the highest point. And so our peak here would be at 2. What about a cluster? I hope you're doing the hand motion for cluster. It's when you're like squeezing air out of a Ziploc, you're putting your hands together. Where are most of the data points? So if you thought about 0 to 7, then that would be correct. Okay, do we have any gaps? Just kind of like your gap in your teeth. Exactly. So we have a gap here, and it is from 8 to 10. And then an outlier. It's way out there. What number is way out there? Yes, we have an outlier at 11. If it was helpful to you, you might have also said it's a house out in the country, a house away from the city. All right, so what's new here is the mode. The mode is the most common number. Look very carefully here at the data. What number is the most common? So if you said 2, you were very, very correct, because there's how many 2s? Yes, there are 6 2s. So the mode is 2. Well, what if 2 wasn't here? I'm going to scribble out 2. What would the mode be then? Is it okay to have more than one mode? Yeah, it is. So we would have 2 modes, and our modes would be 1 and 3, because they both have 3 dots on them. Okay? Some of you might have already realized that whenever you're looking at a dot plot, the peak is also the mode, and that is correct, but that's only true for dot plots and other kinds of graphs. It's not true for all graphs, okay? So let's go through and let's talk about stem and leaf plots and histograms. So here's a stem and leaf plot. There's a title, and there are numbers here, and there's also a key. The most important thing here is our key. It's kind of our hint. So our key is telling us that 17, the number 17 is going to be shown like this, 1 with the bar next to it and 17. So if I look here, I see 1 with the bar next to it, and way over here is a 7, and that number 7 does not mean 7, it means 17. But this number 7, is that also 17? No, this is actually the number 7. If you notice here, the numbers on the left represent the tens place. So that's 0, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. And we put these numbers together. So 0, 0 would be 0. 0, 5 would be 5. 0, 5 would be 5. 0, 8 would be 8. 1, 0 would be 10. 1, 7 is 17. 1, 9 is 19. And 4, 4 is 44. Are we all seeing that? All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to write this on your paper. I want to make sure that everyone understands when this kind of thing happens. All right. So this first number here, that stands for a 91. Correct. But what about this one? 103. And this one? 107. Then this one? 114, and our final one, 115. So just so you know, you can have a 9, a 10, 11, 12, and so on as your stems. They just represent 10, so this would be 100, 110, and so on and so forth, okay? It still works the exact same way. So let's go ahead and let's make our first stem and leaf plot. So the first step, I know you guys want to make your stems and your leaves. Before we even do that, so that we can help ourselves and not have an issue later, is let's go ahead and write our numbers from least to greatest. It will help us a ton. So my first number I'm going to write is 19. Cross it out. Then I have a 25. Oh, that's wrong. I have a 23 first. 23. Then a 25. Then I have two 29s. Okay. Then I have a 32. A 33. A 35. Another 35. A 36. And a 44. If you're still writing and need to pause the video, go ahead and do so. So now I'm ready to create my stems and my leaves. So for my stems, I'm going to choose the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. I didn't start at 0 because I don't have any numbers that are just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I also didn't put a 5 here because there's no 50s. It just goes from the 10s to the 10s to the 40s. In the previous slide, we had a 2 and a 3 there, even though there weren't any numbers there. So I want to let you guys know that on a stem and leaf plot, you have to put the numbers consecutively. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even if you don't have like any 20s or any numbers in the 30s. But you don't have to go on to 50 and 60 and 70 if you don't have numbers there. So just make sure that you can show a gap here. Like if there weren't any 20s, I still need to put those 2. Does that make sense to everyone? Hopefully it does. All right, now I'm going to fill in my leaves. So I have 19, 23, 25, 29, another 29, a 32, 33, 35, 35, 36, and last is a 44. Okay, please remember that as you're reading these numbers over here, all of your leaves, this is not a 9, that's not a 9, and that's not a 9. This is 19. This is 29, and this is 29. Hope that you're all seeing that. All right, let's tackle these things in the bottom. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the range. How do we find the range? Okay, hopefully you remembered it's the greatest minus the least. Our greatest is 44. Our least is 19. Can we do 4 minus 9? Nope. Gotta borrow. 14 minus 9 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. So our range is 25. I'm going to move over here to the mode. We're looking for the most common number. I know that many of you are tempted to think that it's 3 because it has the most numbers. But is this a 3? No, it's a 30. So we don't have any 3s. Our most common number isn't 3. Why don't we look back up here? What's our most common number? So if you notice that we have 2 29s and 2 35s, you were right. If we look here, we have 2 29s and 2 35s. That's how we find our most common number. Don't look at which row is the longest. Look at the numbers that repeat. The numbers that repeat. If you thought that we had our 9 was the most common number because there's 3 9s, remember, we don't have 3 9s. We have 19 and 29 and 29. We don't have 3 5s. We have a 25, a 35, another 35. Are we all seeing that? So my 2 most common numbers here are 29 and 35. All right, now let's find the median. We're going to do our dance. I know you guys can't see me doing the least greatest dance, but we're going least greatest. Least greatest. Just imagine me tap dancing in front of the class, okay? So my least is 19. My greatest is 44. My least is 23. Oh, I made a mistake earlier. I left out the 30. If you caught that earlier, that's really awesome. I left out a 30 here. I didn't cross it out. I didn't notice that. So let me sneak in a 0 here. I didn't realize that I left that out. Hopefully you guys caught that. All right. Woohoo to Miss Adafuye. So let's continue on our least greatest dance. So I said that the least was 23 and the greatest is not 30, but actually 36. Okay? My least is 25. My greatest is 35. Least is 29. Greatest is 35. Least is 29. Greatest is 33. And that leaves me with 30 and 32. So if you know what the median is already, go ahead and write that down. If you don't, remember we're going to add and then divide by 2. So I have 62. 62 divided by 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 6, 0. Bring down your 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 2, 0. So my median is 31. You could have also thought what's halfway between 30 and 32? It's 31. All right. So here we have a histogram. So a histogram looks very similar to a bar graph, but here are the differences. Usually on a bar graph on the bottom, you'll have like words like blue, green, yellow, and purple, or you'll have numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. On a histogram, we have something called intervals, where you are going to be counting by 2s, 4s, 5s, and etc. Here, if you notice, we're counting by 4s because we have 4, 8, 12, 16. Notice that this one goes from 1 to 4, but this one doesn't go from 4 to 8. It goes from 5 to 8. Because if we have a 4 in this group, we cannot have another 4 in this group. 4 can only be in this group, so it has to start the next number, which is 5. Okay? When we do our own, we'll talk more about that. And then on this vertical, the y-axis, we have frequency. Frequency just means how often does it happen. So let's read this. A bird watcher counts and records the number of birds at a bird feeder every morning at 9 for several days. So how often did they see 1 to 4 birds? Yeah, 8 times, because 1 to 4 birds, 8 times. What was the frequency of seeing 13 to 16 birds? Only once. They only saw it 1 time. What's the frequency of 5 to 8 birds? 4 times. Okay, are we all seeing that? Great, let's go to the next slide and let's make one. Okay, so here it says, Kim has started rating each movie she sees using a scale of 1 to 10 on an online site. Here are her ratings so far. Okay, so over here, I already made our graph. I put rating on the x-axis, frequency on the y-axis, and here are my numbers. All right, so it says, let's do intervals of 2, okay? So I'm going to fill it in with rating. I'm going to just put rate because I can't fit it all in. And then frequency, I'm going to put FE and then a Q. All right, so great. So I'm doing intervals of 2, right? So let's go ahead and let's count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That is the easiest way. Figure out what number you're starting with or you're ending with and then count by that, okay? So since we're doing intervals of 2, each interval needs to have 2 numbers. What 2 numbers should I start with? Yeah, 1 and 2. And if this one ends at 2, the next one should start at 3. If this one ends at 4, the next one should start at 5. Ends at 6, we should start at 7. Ends at 8, we should start at 9. All right, so let's see the frequency of each of these numbers. How often do I have a 1 or a 2? Let me look through. I only have 1, 1, and that's it. So the frequency is just 1 time. What about a 3 or a 4? I have 1, 4, 2. Great, only 2. So it only happens 2 times. What about a 5 or a 6? 1, 2, 3 times. Are you guys following? 7 or 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And then 9 or a 10, just 2 times. All right, now we're ready to build our graph. So the first rating, I'm gonna put for the interval of 1 to 2, and then 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and then 9 to 10. I'm going to rate my bars now. Please know that your bars should not touch each other. I mean, they should touch each other. There should be no spaces between them. So for 1 to 2, it's going to be a 1. Doesn't have to be perfect. For 3 to 4, it's 2. From 5 to 6, it's 3. Seven to 8, it's 7. And then 9 and 10, it's 2 again. All right. So now looking here, it says, what can the shape of our data tell us? Well, we can ask ourselves all those questions like, what's the peak? Yeah, 7 to 8. Are there any outliers? No. Are there any gaps? No. Where's the cluster? All the way from 1 to 10. The whole thing is a cluster. Is it symmetrical shape or is it asymmetrical? Definitely asymmetrical. Okay. What's the most common rating that she gave? A 7 or an 8. Great. I hope that we're all seeing those things. So you can write any of those here. I'm going to write asymmetrical. No gaps. Most common rating. Is a 7 or 8. So you can write any of those things. So let's go ahead and let's start our assignment. It's not in duck soup today. It's going to be on paper. Let's go ahead and you're going to get one and you're going to begin. What I want everyone to look at on the assignment is number 2. Whenever you're making your intervals, let's go through that really quickly so that no one is confused. So it says complete the frequency table, use an interval of 5. So we're going to be counting by what number? 5. All right. So looking at just our first number here, it's a 65. So what will the next interval start with? The 65, let's count up to 5 and we're going to get to 70. Okay. Then 65, 70. What comes next? 75. What comes next? 80. What comes next? 85. So it's important to get those the first numbers first. Now we can worry about the second numbers, okay? Our first one, it goes from 65 to 69. Let's think about it. How many numbers are between 65 and 69? So I have 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. That's 5 numbers. 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. So it's going to end in 74. You're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these, okay? I'm not going to show you what they are on this video. So let's go over to frequency. We learned just a second ago that frequency is how often something happens. So for our first one, 65 to 69, hopefully you've already seen that from here on our numbers, how many numbers we have between 65 and 69? Just this one. So how many numbers is that? Yeah, it's just one number. So the frequency is just 1. So you're going to count how many numbers are going to be in that range and you're going to put the frequency down. So if you need help, make sure to talk to your classmates. Do your very, very best. I'll be seeing you later, guys.